It's one of the greatest days in Canucks history. The Canucks name another captain. This time, it's Quinn Hughes will be wearing the C. Well, guess what? You're listening to one of the greatest shows in Canucks podcast history. Locked On Canucks, baby.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, Canucks writer and part-time credentialed media member. Before we dive into the show, we want to thank you for listening to Locked On Canucks. It's your team every day. Make sure you subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, on today's show, what are we going to cover, Kyle? Oh, yeah, of course. The Canucks name their 15th captain in franchise history. We're going to tell you why Quinn Hughes was the only choice to be the next captain of the Vancouver Canucks. Also want to touch on a bit of a different announcement than from what we've seen in the past for Canucks captains. Maybe we'll end off the show on a few little Quinn Hughes facts. But first and foremost, let me introduce someone who might even have bigger biceps than Quinn Hughes. But anyways, Kyle Bhawan, how you doing, brother?
Oh, man. Who knows, man? I see Quinn Hughes being actually kind of jacked. He doesn't look like he would be, for real, one of those guys. A low maintenance type of guy, doesn't want all the flash, doesn't want all the attention. Well, that's going to change pretty soon here, but I could see this guy being one of the strongest guys in the room. Kyle Bhawan, Trevor Beggs, Locked On Canucks. Subscribe, hit the like button. For real. Do your thing and leave us a review wherever you leave. Leave your podcasting experience too. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and whatnot. Trevor Beggs pulling up the photo of my biceps. It is what it is. A little announcement on my part. No comment corner today, okay? We're running out of time today when it comes to production time. Got to get to a meeting around 3 o'clock. It is what it is. But leave comments on today's episode. Let us know if you are proud of the captain of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, Trevor Beggs, we could go into so many places with this conversation, right? For real. And we just had a conversation on Friday about this. We did. Captain America, aka Captain Can America, Quinn Hughes, when we heard the reports from Elliot Friedman. But I just want to start the episode like this, okay? Because it's got to be the truth. But by the time it's all said and done, Quinn Hughes has to be the greatest captain in Canucks history. No, it's just the truth. That's the expectation. I think every single person who becomes the captain of this team has that opportunity. And based on the talent level of Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson and possibly Thatcher Demko and the need for not just something fresh, but ultimately a Stanley Cup coming home to Vancouver. Again, Quinn Hughes has to be the greatest captain in Canucks history by the time it's all said and done. Are the Canucks winning a cup with this guy? Trevor Beggs, answer the question, okay?
They are, man. They are. And, every day is no. We threw out that episode a couple weeks ago. The Vancouver Canucks will win the Stanley Cup. And, the window's in a couple of years. I just messaged the Locked On Sens guys. I don't know if it's a feud or a bromance growing with the guys on that podcast.
It's a feud, dude.
Yeah, it's a feud. Okay. All right. Just wanted to see. I wasn't quite sure yet, but
feud.
I said, see you in 2026 when Brady Tkachuk and Quinn Hughes, best friends, captains of the Canadian squads, will face off in the Stanley Cup final. Wouldn't that be something? Vancouver Canucks and Ottawa Senators, two of the most moribund franchises in the NHL, but that's for another day. Like you said, a number of different directions we could go in. We just talked about this on Friday, and we said, quote, it was inevitable that Quinn Hughes would be named captain of the Vancouver Canucks. I didn't think it was going to come this soon. And I know we'll touch on the announcement later on, but one thing I wanted to touch on right now is Quinn Hughes was the only choice to be captain of the Vancouver Canucks. I don't think that's a bold statement. It might be bold, again, if you listen to us in the spring when we said that Pettersson probably should be captain. But as I've said before, I think come April, once Talk said his comments about Hughes, the writing was kind of on the wall that he was going to become captain. And good for him. I mean, again, I think the debate was really him or Miller or Pettersson. And for those who don't know, Miller, Pettersson, and Demko were all in the media room today, standing on the sideline, supporting their boy, Quinn Hughes. That's the current leadership group. I don't think the Canucks were going to go in the direction where they named another goalie captain. So it came down to Hughes, Pettersson, and Miller. And I think, Pettersson just wasn't really as vocal. I think he seemed a bit more tentative about it. I know when he was asked on After Hours, he said he'd never been a captain. It'd be an honor, but he would want to think about it. He didn't seem as gung-ho about kind of taking on that role. Again, I'm kind of assuming a bit here because he's got some great role models in the organization in the Sedins, and he could rely on a guy like Naslin as well. And then in terms of JT Miller, yeah, there we go. They're the boys right there, supporting the Quinn Hughes, all in t-shirts and jeans and some more casual wear. Whereas Quinn Hughes is wearing he was wearing the suit today, you know. And Kyle, you pointed that out back in April too. Quinn Hughes was the only guy to wear the suit at the end of season conference. So again, I know Pettersson, Miller, the other choices. I think with JT Miller, yeah, he's the most vocal guy, but is he going to be the long-term leader and the guy wearing the C? I just think it made sense to give it to one of your stars in terms of Hughes and Pettersson. Like it's their time to lead this team to the promised land.
Yeah.
I think with JT Miller, there's maybe too much controversy, too much drama with him, and just because he's the loudest guy on this team doesn't mean that he needs to be wearing the C. So. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm curious how you feel. I think you agree with me, but I think Quinn Hughes is the only choice, and I'm happy for him, and I'm glad that he's got the captaincy now.
Look, we talked about this on Friday, okay? So I'm coming out with new things today. I'm not going to repeat myself, all right? You mentioned a lot of things there. Elias Pettersson did not want to be the captain. He doesn't want the smoke. He doesn't want to make headlines. You need somebody in that room, not to necessarily make headlines, but he needs to speak up. And Quinn Hughes has spoken up a couple times over the last 8 months about everything Vancouver Canucks, whether it be about the pride jerseys and speaking up for the community, whether it be talking about Tanner Pearson, whether it be grabbing the mic at the end of the season and talking to the people. He wants the spotlight, and the spotlight is big when you're the captain of the best city in Canada. Okay, the best coast is on the west coast of Canada, and it matters. You got to want to have it, and you can't be scared of it. And you can't change too. And it's pretty obvious that Elias Pettersson has changed over the years. This guy did like the camera 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And the media kind of got on him for it a little bit. Some members of the media, some of the fan base as well, whether it be some of his quotes, some of his Starkey attitude, some of the t-shirts he was wearing, like high fashion, whatever. I didn't care. I was all into it. Let him embrace himself. Let him be that guy. Let him be the star he wants to be. But there was, again, some people out here talking a little bit of ish, and he kind of changed his ways, and he's been more subtle. That being said, he's become more of an incredible player. It is what it is. That being said, you got to want to have it. And on that note of JT Miller, I guess I am going to repeat myself. Just a little too emotional, a little too irrational at some points. And maybe that's a good thing for him as an individual player. But when you're the leader of a team and you're going to go through, some ebbs and flows and a lot of, what's the negative when they say ebbs and flows? Is it flows or ebbs? Anyways, you're going to go through some negatives, some 2-game losing streaks, some 3-game losing streaks, and you can't get too rattled. You know what I'm saying? You got to stay a little bit stoic. And Quinn Hughes is that guy. He can be composed and keep it cool and hold players accountable. I think the easiest way Quinn Hughes can hold people accountable is by playing his game and being that guy and being that dynamic. And not that it matters. Not that it matters. Okay. But this is maybe something that the people can comment on towards the end of the episode. Okay. For real. Watch us first and leave us a comment. All right. At the end of the day, who's going to be the better player? Quinn Hughes or Elias Pettersson? They're both damn good. Not that the best player has to be named your captain, but I think some of that language that you and I were spewing out, I guess maybe throughout our whole lives as Canucks fans throughout the last couple of years was like, Elias Pettersson is that guy. That guy competes hard. He's also the most skilled, blah, blah, blah. He's the perfect guy to be the C. Dude, Quinn Hughes, just as dynamic. The potentiality of that dude is, 96 overall, 97 overall as well. He's that damn good. He's that damn good. He's that guy. So again, he can be the captain because of all of his intangibles, but he's going to help this team win based on his skill at the end of the day. And he's just the example of what the future of the Vancouver Canucks has to be like. Again, I'm going to say it again because it matters, and this city does deserve it. Quinn Hughes has to be the greatest captain in Canucks history before it's all said and done. You're smirking, but that title is available. It's available. It is, because there's no Stanley Cup. He has to be that guy to bring the cup home, to lift home the cup. When we think about the captain in the NHL, and what we all dream about is, the first dude touching the Stanley Cup when the Canucks win. And now we got to picture it. We got to visualize it. What's the word everyone's using? We got to manifest it. Again, Quinn Hughes, the greatest captain in Canucks history. He's bringing the cup home.
Yeah, three things I want to point out before we get to a break here. First, I'm just thinking, you talk about Quinn Hughes. He has to be the greatest captain in Canucks history. I'm trying to think about who the greatest captain in Canucks history right now is, and I'm looking at the list.
Ooh,
I mean, we're talking about Orland Kurtenbach, the original captain, Stan
nah,
Smeal, Trevor
nah,
Linden,
nah.
easily Mark Messier. No, I'm just kidding. Don't come after me. And then it's like Naslund, Sedin, Bo Horvat if you're Tambier. But it's a tough debate, right? I mean,
It's not tough. I think it's Henrik. I think it's Henrik. I think like everyone kind of is
Linden
even out.
iconically might be different. Like
You're just being
Linden led
biased
that
because of the
team
name,
through that
dude.
Cinderella run. You know what I mean? I think we're biased
Oh,
because we grew up in that generation. You know what I mean? But I think there's a good argument for Linden and Smeal as well.
all right,
Probably more so
whatever.
Linden because of the prolonged success, but it's a tough one. So yeah, like you said, Quinn Hughes. I certainly hope he's the greatest captain in the Canucks history. Lead us to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
Short king. Great use of the word potentiality. I don't even know if that's a word, but it
I don't
sounded
even
nice.
know. Just tried it out, man. Yo, do you think people are a little like sensitive to the fact that he's a bit of a baby face? And I don't know, people assume that Quinn Hughes is short, but isn't he taller than you and I? And we're like, me and you are both like what, 5'9", 5'11", in between that. Isn't Quinn Hughes like 6', 6'1"? Like he just
Yeah, Hughes is 5'10", I believe.
oh, sorry.
I've stood beside him in the dressing room. He's around my height, and I'm about 5'9", 5'10", like somewhere in that range. So,
Okay.
but this kind of goes to my last point, and you talked about him, being a leader, and I think he's just, when we talk about Pettersson and Miller, the other two choices for captain, Quinn Hughes has more ice in his veins than those guys, in my opinion. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more calmer, a little bit more cooler, a little bit more collected. I can think of maybe one moment, or I can't remember who he started pushing and shoving on the ice, but for the most part, he's just a cool, calm, collected dude. And we've seen, obviously, from Miller, we've seen the hot-headed moments. Seen a
Mm-hmm.
few from Pettersson as well, kind of yelling on the bench and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Quinn Hughes, again, I think he's got the right mentality. Honestly, I think Thatcher Demko has a similar mentality as well, but Quinn Hughes in particular has a really good mentality for leading this team and being that calm, cool, collected leader going forward.
Mm-hmm. And he speaks up, and he's just more vocal than that other guy, Elias. And at the end of the day, it's pretty like you can't have like when Quinn Hughes was asked if he, how he would feel about being the captain, it sounded as if he really wanted it. Whereas Elias was kind of dancing around the question.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's
I
it,
completely agree.
exactly.
Yeah.
Locked on Canucks, Kyle Bowen, Trevor Beggs. We'll get to more of everything Quinn Hughes and the captaincy. It's September, baby. It's September. I told the people last week, I said, wake me up when September ends, okay? Because this is still going to be a month full of assumptions and whatnot. But man, oh man, I'm feeling the blue and green in my veins. Locked on Canucks, your Canucks every day. Beggsy, who we shouting out here on the program?
All right. Well, speaking of the blue and green, my Seahawks absolutely
Ugh.
crumbled on Sunday. And you know what? I'm going to shout out FanDuel and try to ignore the Seahawks here. So football season is kicked off, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to win all season long, baby. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. A bit of a sad Sunday for me. I've heard some Seahawks Super Bowl love out there. Surprisingly,
Oh my God,
I'm not
dude.
quite there. I'm not quite there at all, especially after Week 1. Kyle, are you feeling a bit better about your Packers after Week 1? That was a pretty convincing victory over one of the saddest teams in football.
Okay, so I'm not getting ahead of myself and thinking we're going to win the Super Bowl. The Green Bay Packers. We beat the Bears. The Bears are so sad. They're so pathetic. So pathetic. We look good, and Jordan Love ultimately looked good. We took a step in the right direction, and I feel good about the overall trajectory of the team over the next couple of years, but I'm not delusional like you and your Seahawks fans banking on Geno Smith doing it again and doing it even more, okay? The Seahawks, I'm not gonna call them a sad organization, but they got humbled a bit. Luckily, it was over early on in the season, and hopefully you didn't put a lot of money online using the FanDuel app.
Yeah, exactly. No, I am in a pick and pool at my pub. I was tied for first in my league with some bucks on the table going into Sunday night, but I picked the Giants. So anyways, that was sad. But hey, no matter who you're betting on, make sure you do it on FanDuel. And again, you pick that Super Bowl winner, you get bonus bets every time they win. You can use those bonus bets on spreads, player props, overs, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon.
People, before we get back to the show, baby, I gotta tell you that new episodes of Locked On Canucks will be available wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube at 4:20 p.m. for no reason at all, okay? New episodes every day at 4:20 p.m. Again, wherever you stream podcasts and on YouTube. Let's get back to the show. Okay, we back on Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. If you enjoy the program, you've been a longtime fan, subscribe to the show. We've had over 3,000 reoccurring viewers over the last couple of weeks. Yo, show us some love and hit the subscribe button, okay? I want to make my mama proud, all right? Trevor wants to bring home the bacon. He wants to show his wife that he's, doing the right things by taking his time out to do this instead of babysit the kids, okay? For real. We need those numbers going up just a little bit, okay? If a lot of you guys are tuning in every day but not hitting the subscribe button, you must hate Trevor's. You must hate for real, man. That's just, I don't know how that happened, okay? Your Canucks every day. Quinn Hughes, the captain. Quinn Hughes being announced as the captain in, I don't want to say like a quieter way because it was still, a little loud Monday morning, big sports weekend. Everyone's
pretty
tuned
quiet.
in. I'm just saying, is anything quiet in Vancouver? Is anything quiet in Vancouver? But I think the sense is that this is a lot different than how the team normally does things throughout the last couple of years. What I took from the press release, right, was how petty the Canucks were when it came to not really mentioning Mark Messier in the little photo op when they were talking about the 15 captains in Canucks history. And again, no picture of Mark Messier was found in that
Good.
graphic. I like it, man.
Good.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
the swaggerness, man. For real, man. We need a little bit of that FU on the West Coast, the best coast. Okay, it's just the truth. It's just the truth.
Yeah, that was arguably the darkest period in Canucks history, and there's no honoring Messier. Come on, man, that's an absolute. I just talked about Linden arguably being the greatest captain in Canucks history, and we all know that he lost his captaincy because of Messier. So, anyways, enough about that. I did like the little snub from Canucks PR there. I'm not sure if I loved the way they announced it. I mean, press release goes out at 7:30, 8 a.m. this morning. And then all of a sudden it's like, Quinn Hughes is the captain, press conference at 10. Everyone rushed to the arena, ask a few questions. Boom, we're done. Okay, see you later. I mean, with Horvat, they had a big ceremony on the ice
Dude,
on opening night with Henrik Sedin. It was something similar. I mean, you didn't have a problem with that? Them not giving Hughes the kind of grand entrance as captain of the Canucks?
Because, man, it's about dubs, man. It's about hockey games, okay? You ended off the last episode saying that, it's just a captaincy. It's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? You know when the captaincy looks sexy, when it matters a lot? It's when Gary Bettman's like, come and get your Stanley Cup. For real. For real. We don't need no shenanigans. We don't need no party. The Canucks don't deserve that. They don't deserve that. Maybe a little 2-minute video before the season starts. That's it. Quinn Hughes will be the last guy introduced to the fans during game 1 at Rogers Arena, whenever that is. But that's all we need. We don't need a celebration, okay? We don't need to bring back Trevor Linden, heal the wounds. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Naslund doesn't have to fly in from Sweden. You get what I'm saying? It's all good. It's all good. Hockey games matter. Get the dubs. For real. For real. Again, the only visual experience that we need to think about is the one that we've never seen, and that's again a captain of the Stanley Cup champions, the Vancouver Canucks, going out to center ice to pick up that Stanley Cup. But talk more about it. You want more of a celebration for Quinn Hughes? Explain your rationale behind your little anger, your little petty party over there.
Kyle, you're kind of convinced me to the other side, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I was just surprised. Dude. Like even when we talked on Friday about like saying Hughes is inevitable, he'll be named the captain. I expected the announcement to come like, I don't know, October 10th or whenever their home opener is. I wasn't really expecting a Monday morning press conference. That being said, I think I see your point of view. Like the Canucks have been a loser for 10 years pretty much, right? So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I see the rationale for celebrating the little things, let's call it. I mean, we started this episode saying it was one of the greatest days in Canucks history. That was a bit bold, but I was.
No. Is it bold? Is it bold? We don't have a lot of things to celebrate, so that's why things are such big deals here. Such big deals here. Now, I'm just gonna twist this scenario so many times in my mind. But when we talk about like this being, one of the greatest days in Canucks history, blah, blah, blah. Quinn Hughes is one of the greatest players in Canucks history. He's already the best defenseman in Canucks history, and he just got named captain. Like, it's a big deal. No slight on Henrik Sedin. The guy won a Hart Trophy and an Art Ross Trophy. But again, like Quinn Hughes has that trajectory to be, the greatest Canucks captain in team history, not even just based on the truth, and that's again them winning a Stanley Cup, but just based on his skill set and based on the accolades. Like he's that damn good this early on. It's just it's something else. It's fresh, it's new.
Yeah, and speaking of Henrik Sedin, there was a factor there today. I think so. Quinn Hughes was listed 45th overall on the NHL's top 50 player list heading into the season, and I think the little caption was that Quinn Hughes, the first Canuck since Henrik Sedin to have back-to-back 60-plus assist seasons. I believe he's the only Canuck player to have back-to-back 60 assist seasons, but don't quote me on that necessarily. No, Kyle, I kind of like your rationale. It's the captaincy again. I think I did say it on Friday. I think we do kind of over evaluate it. That being said, it's kind of cool to honor the player. I guess I'm seeing both sides of it here, but again, Canucks have been a bit of a loser. It's like, why do we have to kind of glorify it? Like, let's just name the captain. Let's get to work. I kind of like this mentality from the Vancouver Canucks here. That being said, I would have liked a bit of a longer announcement to kind of like let people gather and be there for it. You know what I mean? It's like this announcement went out like 2 to 3 hours ago,
and they had
Quinn Hughes is all of a sudden at the arena.
I get what you're saying. Let's say in an alternate universe, let's say like you were a full-time reporter for the Vancouver Canucks, right? You're a full-time daddy as well. Okay, let's just say we're in this alternate universe, and you wake up at 7, change a couple diapers, make some breakfast, make some pancakes, right? You start off the week right for your family, and then you get like the email saying, "Yo, Quinn Hughes is the captain, and by the way, the press conference is in 90 minutes."
Yeah, I gotta
Like,
get
what are
my
you supposed
daughter
to
to
do?
daycare. I gotta get
Dude.
downtown.
Oh, your daughter's not going to your daughter's not going to daycare. She's staying home. You calling the wife, "Hey, you staying home today?"
She's coming with me to the arena, probably.
Yeah.
My God, no time to drop her at daycare. I just gotta take her with me.
Hey, speaking of which, before we get to the third segment, the last segment, what like obviously there's some like rules in that environment when it comes to like what questions you can't ask. And don't get dirty with this, don't get obnoxious with this, Trevor, okay? But what would you ask in that scenario, okay? Because I would ask this. I would say, what would you do differently than Bo Horvat? That's what I would ask Quinn Hughes. I don't know what the answer would be, but if Quinn Hughes was being honest, I think it would be centered around how Bo Horvat handled controversy. Now, not to the media, not after the game, but I'm talking internally, because there was a lot of times where the team was bleeding throughout the last couple of years post bubble, and they weren't able to get it together. And again, find calmness through the chaos. And that's what Quinn Hughes has to do here. I know we've been very optimistic about the Vancouver Canucks, not just today, saying that they're eventually going to win the Stanley Cup in the next couple of years. We're talking about this season mattering. And if this season is going to matter and we're going to make the playoffs and we're going to impress Pettersson and we can kind of keep the core together, dude, they're going to lose 2 straight games. They're going to lose 3 straight games eventually, but you got to stop the bleeding. And Bo Horvat was not able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't have anything necessarily more brilliant than that. I would have said, what was maybe your conversation with Brady Tkachuk about the captaincy? That's a question you could have asked in the press conference. I don't think that would have been taboo. But yeah, I think your question is awesome. Like, what would you do differently than Horvat? Because there were some flaws, obviously, when Horvat was the leader of this team. Enough about Bo Horvat, okay? I'll tell you that for free. Let's end off this show. Last segment, a couple fun facts about Quinn Hughes, and I got to pump my own tires temporarily here. That's on the other side here on Locked On Canucks.
Okay. We are back together here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every day. Trevor Beggs, my favorite white guy in the world. It's just the truth, man. It's just the truth, The white people out there, man, in high school, they taught me how to party. They taught me how to have a good time. I have a lot of favorite white people in my life. But Beggsy, you my favorite white people, and a white person in the world. And I know I'm your favorite Hindu, man. I know I'm your favorite Hindu.
Oh, 100% you are. 100% you are.
Straight up, dude. I might be the most favorite Hindu in the Canucks universe, okay, by the time it's all said and done. That's the goal, man. Again, subscribe if you like the show. I'm going to show my mom, be like, yo, we made it. We made it, okay? For real. Thanks for immigrating from Fiji, because we made it. For real. Speaking about making it. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe we should do an episode in Fiji one day. You and I.
Of course, man. Of course, man. We're going to grow the game. We're going to take the game to Fiji, man. Fiji's favorite team is going to be the Vancouver Canucks. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. Go. Now, before we get to some fun facts about Quinn Hughes, to end out the show, I want to ask Beggsy this really, really important question. Okay, it was the first Sunday of the football year. You're now a father of two. How much daddy duty did you actually do yesterday? And did you put more pressure on your wife to get things done? Were you aggravated a little when she told you to, throw out the trash or make some milk for the baby? Like, did you throw it off a bit? Did you brush it off a bit? What happened yesterday?
No, honestly, it was a perfect excuse to get together with my good buddy. He's also got a kid around Everly's age, so I invited him over for a play date. But obviously, we were watching football from he got over around 11. We were there to he was there to 4 or whatever. So great excuse for a play date, watching football with one of my good buds. So yeah, it was a great day, and I had a little bit of leniency from my wifey because she was up at Whistler on Saturday, got back
Mm,
late Sunday morning, watching her dad do a bike race from Stanley Park to Whistler. And man, this guy, my father-in-law, he's in his early 60s. He puts me to shame. Okay, and I'm doing my push-ups. I'm trying to get in shape. I was doing more push-ups on the weekend. This guy
good.
biked 122 kilometers from Stanley Park to Whistler as part of this bike race. I mean, he's absolutely putting me to shame. But anyways, I was alone with my daughter for most of the weekend until my wife got home. So I think I had a bit of leniency in terms of the do dishes and take out the trash department. She actually
Dude,
came back and made nachos, man. I was like, oh, you're the best wife of all time.
wow, dude. Yo, you live an incredible life, man. You really do. And your father-in-law, I think he's really trying to become a great grandfather in this thing called his life. If you really think about it, put the math together, he's trying to be here for a very long time. Hey, Quinn Hughes is going to be here for a very long time as well. You got some fun facts about this dude. I don't even know what you're about to say, but
Yeah,
spit
let's
it out.
go. I won't say there was hours of research here, but I wanted to pull a few facts that people might not know about Quinn Hughes. First and foremost, we'll stick with the captaincy. He is the third youngest captain in Canucks history. Trevor Linden was the youngest. He was 20 when he first wore the C in a rotation with Doug Lister and Dan Quinn. 21 when he got a full time, and then Kevin McCarthy was 22 when he was named the captain back in 1979. So Quinn Hughes at 23 years old, third
Holy.
youngest captain in Canucks history. Going back in time a little bit, Quinn Hughes actually started his hockey career as a forward. I don't think people might not know that, but they're probably not terribly surprised by that when you watch Quinn Hughes play. Apparently, when he was in elementary school, he was given permission to skate during lunch after he consistently became distracted in class while watching his younger brother and father skate on a frozen baseball diamond. I'm like, why is Quinn Hughes getting distracted by watching his younger brother skate? But I guess his younger brother at the time wasn't even in school. So that's, for a guy being born in Florida and he traveled around a lot because his father worked in hockey. He was a director of player development in Toronto. He did some work in Boston for a while. Quinn Hughes went to Michigan. So the guy was, even though he's born in Florida, the guy was all over the place. And then one more fact I wanted to throw out. Two more facts. I'm going to end on myself here. One more fact. He was roommates with Brady Tkachuk. People know that they're friends, really good friends, best friends, some might say. But they're actually roommates when they were at the U.S. National Development Program. And the last fun fact is, Kyle, you and I, we were doing our first show. We talking hockey about 5-6 years ago. I talked about why the Canucks, why they need to draft Quinn Hughes, okay? And guess what happened? They drafted him. He's now your captain. Let's go. I want a bit of credit. Give your boy Beggsy some love.
No, for real. I do give you love for that pick, man. I do think that I do think that Jim Benning was watching that video. And it wouldn't surprise me because
Definitely.
I'm pretty sure Jim Benning did a lot of his hockey scouting slash hockey work via the YouTube route. Let's be honest. Let's be real. No, let's be real. Like I'm being serious. That's not even like a bold thing to say. It may sound a little mean, but based on the results, I'm pretty sure again he used YouTube podcasting highlights to determine who he would bring to the team. And Beggsy, you were right on that one. Did you know that Quinn Hughes actually called Brady Kachuk yesterday or the day before, and they talked about this because now they're both captains, American captains in a Canadian market. It's a pretty obscure thing, and it's an intense thing as well. And both those players, man, like a lot of pressure is on them to deliver wins. No metaphorical wins available now. No moral victories allowed. It's just the truth. Dubs in the standings, 2 points more often than not, and those guys have to be big parts of why their teams do that. Oh man, Quinn Hughes, man, you brought back some memories. Now remember his first game against LA, he was just electrifying. Electrifying. It was a lot of fun to watch, for real. I think he picked up a beautiful assist to Brock Besser as well. And fast forward now, he is your captain. Things move so quick in this thing called life. And on that note, I really want things to move quickly when it comes to how this team transitions from being a bottom dwelling team to a fast riser in the standings. And, we brought up the whole football thing earlier. Let's end it off on this note. Going into the game yesterday against the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears were like favored, and also they're a team on the rise too. Like, this is going to be a 3-win team, and they're going to win about 10 games this year, 11 games, and they're going to be a threat in the NFC for a long time to come. And boom, they fell flat on their face. And I know it's only one game, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna suck throughout the whole season. Like, how did the Canucks avoid that happening to them? Because essentially, we're kind of hoping that the same thing happens with them, right? Like, they've been bad for so long, but because of Carson Soucy, Teddy Bluger, Pius Suter, Ian Cole, and Philip Hronek, these guys who, yeah, they're just like outside of Philip Hronek, maybe these guys are just guys, but those guys are now added to the team, new coach, but they're gonna flip the script and now they're gonna make the playoffs. I answered the question partially before, but I'm gonna throw it your way. They have to stop the bleeding ASAP. When things start to, when it's a little cut, make it seem like a paper cut. You know what I'm saying? It can't be a deep incision. How do the Canucks take the leap? I know we're gonna ask this question throughout the month, but now since things are kind of rolling, how do they take the leap and not just fall flat on their face? Because it's clearly a 50-50 chance that this thing can go either way.
Yeah, I think they got to be dialed in from training camp. And I think this is a question, again, that could be answered in a whole 30-minute show. So, again, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned here on Locked On Canucks. They got to start strong from training camp. Obviously, it wasn't a strong start last year, and we saw at the beginning of the season that they weren't ready to go. They had the talent to score goals, but they kept blowing leads and not playing well defensively. Like, the team has the talent to score, but they really needed to tighten things up on the defensive side of the puck. And, there's no passengers. I mean, there's too many passengers on the Canucks next season. There can be no passengers this season because this season matters. And I think there's probably big changes ahead if this team sucks this season. And hopefully that's not the case.
And on that note, I think that's why they named the captain right now.
Yeah,
I think
I
in
agree.
in like a typical sense, you're heading into October, the day before the season starts, they announce it, right? It's kind of like the way it goes, but you want to establish a leadership group in its hierarchy before training camp starts because accountability has to start from day one. Like, things need to seem real right away. They need a head start. There's no assumption, right? Things got to make sense right away. And little/big things like this just had to happen. And it's exciting. I like the obscure nature of things. I like the change up because it would be hypocritical for them to continue to do things the same way. It'd be borderline insanity. So go Canucks, go. Things seem fresh. They do. They seem different with Alvin and Rutherford. I know they got to prove it on the ice, but change is here. What is that going to look like? We'll find out in a couple months. But I'm bleeding blue and green, man. I'm excited. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Leave us a comment on today's episode. Let us know how you feel about Quinn Hughes being named captain and essentially becoming the greatest captain in Canucks history before it's all said and done. We'll get back to Comment Corner later on in the week. Beggsy, sign us out.
All right. Again, quick shout out to the everydayers, the occasional listeners. And this is your first time listening, you must be a Quinn Hughes fan. Regardless, welcome to the program. Coming up this week, I got a conversation with Locked On Kings that we'll look to post on the feed. Want to talk about maybe one old PTO candidate as well. You might be able to guess who it is. Training camp battles. The Pacific Division, is it the toughest division in hockey? We're going to get into all that in the days and weeks ahead. But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bhawan. Congratulations to Quinn Hughes, the 15th captain in Canucks history. Again, we love you, Quinn Hughes. You've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
I don't even know this guy. Like, we love him? I do love Quinn Hughes, man. Bring that cup home, baby. Bring that cup home. Peace.